Welcome back to another episode of Truly Bedrock. Last episode, we made an awful spider farm. It is 100% definitely pitch black in there now, and still nothing is spawning. Well, I mean, the farm itself is okay, but it's a bit buggy at the moment. There's a problem with spawners, it turns out. It's something to do with mob caps and stuff. It's linking to the wrong thing. I don't know. But there's about 5 different bugs with spawners at the moment, but eventually we did manage to get the string we needed. In between episodes, I've also been collecting lots of other resources. I've been scavenging from the other members to make enough tinted glass for today's project, and we've got lots of that disgusting scaffolding stuff, lots of other blocks and things we're going to need because we're making a start on our industrial area. It does also mean that this episode we're going to be making use of our elytra because we're going to be doing lots of flying up and down and measuring and all sorts of things like that. And we should probably actually, while I think of it, grab an armor stand as well, if I have any spare. In fact, I think I might have already left one over there because we're going to need to mark out exactly where we want to build our farms. Today we're going to be building the mob farm. That's the first part of our industrial district, and everything else is going to be kind of built around that. Enough talking, let's grab all the stuff and head over to the location, shall we? Well, it might not look like much now, but this is going to be where we build our industrial district. So in the background there, we've got lots of mountains. We've got a village over there, which is going to come in very handy in future. But importantly, it's also over the ocean and not too far from our base. Our base is about 500 blocks that way. We're nowhere near anyone else, so we're going to be well out of the way from all the other TB members. We're not going to interrupt anything they're doing, and it means we can just come over here and activate it when we need it. So the first thing we're going to do is just mark off exactly where the middle of this thing is, and we're going to build a platform, and this is going to be where our central storage is for the entire farm. And as we've got so much birch from stripping down the forest that is on our main base island, I think we're going to do a nice stripped birch floor down here. It may just be an industrial area, but we might as well make it look nice if we can. So that's the first platform done, and now we need another one, about 10 blocks higher. The second layer is now in, and I've marked out where things are going to be going a little bit later on, just to make my life a bit easier, at least that's the hope. But now we need to get the third layer in, and the third layer is actually going to be where the collection system goes for what will be the mob farm. Third platform is in, so this is the one that's going to house the rail. However, before I go any further, I do want to sort out the storage, because I've got to work out how to get the items from this platform down to the bottom area, and I think I've got an idea. I'm just going to try a few things out and see what sticks. And in case you're wondering what this is Foxy's armor stand marker pack. So currently it's just showing where the chunks are. I can actually expand it to show that I am chunk aligning everything, because Bedrock. But it has many uses. It shows lots of different things. The important one, of course, we will be needing a bit later on, is the spawning spheres. So yeah, we'll be saving that for a bit later. For now though, we can probably just get rid of that because the lines are annoying. So I think this should just about do it. I just need to replace a couple of those blocks with some actual droppers. They will deposit everything into these tubes, and that will then go down into the sorting system, which I've just fallen off of. We've got 6 rows on each side at the moment. We've got plenty of space to expand. We're going to have the water tube going all the way round because, as I say, we are going to have a few different farms here, and I don't want anything going to waste. So this should make the items fall down here, drop into here, and then we can just keep pushing them along with more and more water buckets. However, what I do need to do is get myself some ice. We don't have any ice, but luckily there are ice flows literally everywhere around here. And obviously that's going to be a temporary problem until we actually hook up the entire system. For now though, let's just block that off, that's fine. And we'll do the same on this side. In fact, we're not going to put the water in at all on this side because that's going to come from this way. So for now, we'll just block that off. But that does at least mean that when we do start getting some initial drops, they're at least just going to go into these. They're not all being sorted properly at the moment. It would certainly help if I was to actually put the redstone torches down here. So before we move on to the next step, let's just quickly go get ourselves some ice. There we go, the blue ice is in place. That should speed things up a little bit and ensure the items actually go between the different rows of hoppers. Now it's time to go sort out the rail. All the tracks are in, I just need to put the mine carts on, and what we've actually done is, once again, because Bedrock, is we have chunk aligned all of the mine carts. So we've actually got 4 different mine carts running, so that should be enough to keep up with the drops, as well as preventing anything from despawning when it goes over chunk boundaries. So at least that's the hope. And there we go. So now it's time for the next layer, which will of course be magma blocks. All the magma blocks are now in place, and now it's just a case of actually building the farm. Oh dear. It's been hours and we haven't even started on the actual farm yet. So I've marked out where the Afk Spot's going to be, and I've marked out where the mob farm platforms are going to be. So the next step is to basically just get all of this built up, and it's going to be fairly simple, fairly similar to what we had last season. just a little bit more optimized. Optimized in the amount of spawns we're going to get, as opposed to the mechanism of killing. But there's a reason that we have that down there, and that will become clear in future when we start adding other farms. But I have opted against a trident killer on this one, mainly because I don't want to be dealing with all the armor drops and all that malarkey, and I had a lot of problems with the experience clogging up the system last season, so we're going to avoid that and just drop them to their deaths this time. So let's get these platforms built out, and I'll bring you back in once we've got this first level done, and you can see exactly how the farm's going to work from that moment onwards. And that is what one level looks like. So we've just got scaffolding, and then we've got water on top, and basically the mobs spawn on the solid blocks below because scaffolding doesn't actually block the space, and then the water just sweeps them all off the side. And we've got 4 platforms here on this level, and we're going to have 5 levels in total, so lots and lots of mob spawning space, and of course we'll need to make it completely dark inside, which means we're actually going to need to attach some of this a little bit further down. Otherwise we're going to have way too much light coming in through the middle here, so we're probably going to need about 5 or 6 rows just on the bottom of these platforms as well, just to ensure we get it as dark as possible in there. So I've got a bit of a grind ahead of me to get the next 4 layers of this on, so I'm just going to crack on and get that done, I think. Didn't take as long as I expected, but we've now got all 5 layers of the farm in, and of course we have a roof on the top which we have spawn proof because we don't want any problems. And this thing is perfectly dark in there, and it works really, really well. So if I just jump down to the platform below and show you. So our Afk Spot is right here, directly in the middle of the farm, and look at that. As soon as we look up, we've already got mobs flowing through, and this is producing quite a decent amount of resources. I have, of course, sped up this footage. This is showing about a minute of the mob farm running, just to give you an idea of roughly how many mobs we're getting, and it's a lot. It's definitely more than we were getting last season, but with 20 platforms that are 7 blocks by 16 blocks each, that's a lot of spawning space. So with this all working as intended, the next thing to do is, of course, to sort out the storage and get that room looking a little bit nicer. And I kind of want to get the rest of the chests in there as well. The storage room is now complete, and if we quickly dive in this doorway, we can get a look on the inside. It's nothing too fancy, I've just kind of made use of the resources we have at the moment, but I think this does the trick just nicely. And it's actually the next day now. I left this overnight for about 2 hours or so just to see what the rates were going to be like, a little while before the server restarts, and we've actually done really, really well. We've got lots of bones, we've got lots of gunpowder, we've got lots of zombie flesh. I don't really know why I'm keeping that, but I couldn't help myself. And of course, arrows and string and so on as well. We are, of course, also collecting the items from the witch, but we haven't had enough to actually filter all the way through yet. But every single one of these chests is auto-sorted, and we've got space here for more resources when we start adding more farms. So we do also have these chests in the middle here, and you may notice there is iron there, and that's because this is where all our iron is going to get stored. We've actually got an auto-sorted system just above here, which is going to filter out the iron and just dump everything else in lava. And on this floor just above here, this is where we're going to be putting our iron farm. So this central bit here is going to be the kill chamber for the golems. The farm's going to sit just above. We're going to have beds on these spaces around the edge, and then kind of glass them off or wall them off or something, don't quite know yet. But we're going to have villagers all around the outside here, which is going to be for our trading hall. And I've tested it, it should work that when we're on the AFK platform, we're also producing iron down here, and it produces a couple of golems at a time with the amount of villagers we're going to have. So this should work quite nicely for us. I did, however, make a bit of a boo-boo. So the purpose of this farm was to, of course, harvest hostile mobs, it's to harvest iron, and there's going to be squid farms and a few other bits and bobs as well, but I had designed it in such a way and made the killing platform here this big because the other idea was to put a ring around the outside, which was going to be all the grass, for passive mob spawns. And, you know, it looked good, it worked really well in the testing world, but there was one thing I didn't consider before I started building this farm today, or yesterday, I should say. We're in the middle of an ocean. Being in an ocean, it doesn't matter how many grass blocks we put down, we are not going to get any passive mob spawns, which is really disappointing because that was kind of half the point of the farm, but I'm not going to rebuild the whole thing somewhere else, and if we were to do that, then we're not going to have our squid farm working and so on. So, yeah, kind of overlooked that a little bit, but that just means we'll have to save the combined farm for next season. This season, that opens up a lot of space for other farms we can put in and around the area. We've got lots and lots of space around here. We've got, what, 4 chunk ticking distance? So we can have farms all over the place. But, yeah, kind of back to the drawing board on how that's actually going to look. Yeah. The next thing I want to do, however, I think is to head over to this village and start kidnapping, because I do need to get lots of villagers over here. We need to breed them up. I need to work out exactly how many we need. I need to build up the villager chambers and so on. In fact, it's probably not a wise idea to bring them over here until I can at least contain them on this floor. So now to figure out how this floor's going to look, but I guess it should probably tie in with the theme of the storage. That would kind of make sense. I also need to find an easy way to get up here from storage, but I'm going to go do some editing. So while I do that, I'm just going to stand here on the Afk platform and get lots more free goodies. I love how fast this thing is. It's 5 days later, Christmas has been had, and I've achieved absolutely nothing over here, really, because I've actually been away. But it's good to be back, and I've been thinking about this area here, and in fact, the rest of the farm structure as well, but we're going to kind of get to that in future episodes. What I do need, however, is some black glass, because I've got a rough idea for a design here that should tie it in with what we've got going on downstairs, and should also mean the golems will only be able to spawn inside the actual farm once we get it built. The problem, however, is I need lots and lots of black glass, and for that I'm going to need lots of black dye, and I've got absolutely none of the stuff. Conveniently though, we happen to be building a farming area above an ocean, so I think if I grab the armor stand quickly and then place that here with a banner and just look at all this stuff raining down, it is so satisfying to see. Oof, love it. But what I think we might find is that, yes, perfect. Okay, cool. So we can actually put the squid farm up here in the roof of this, which I think is probably going to be our best bet. And it also means we get to recover some of this glass. So, question is, how are we going to do it? Well, I guess the first thing is actually going to be removing a lot of this glass. So we might as well do this, and this should help to actually deactivate the mob farm a little bit while we actually work on the squid side of things. So hopefully we won't die too many times while we're figuring this out. First thing I'm going to do is to put in the dropper system for anything that gets picked up by what will be a minecart. So this should be fairly straightforward. There we go. And what that will do is just dispense any items that go into it directly into this hole here, which will of course drop them onto this platform. Next step is to get the rail down. The rail is in, and now it's time to start adding the magma blocks, which will of course be what kills the squid. With the magma in, the last thing we need to do is just block up the sides again to make it dark on the inside, and that should be enough to actually spawn a decent amount of squid for us and get us the ink we need for the iron farm. And there we go, that should work as our squid farm. I guess the only thing to do now is to go down and test it and see if it actually works. One potential problem we might run into is the fact that the minecart is going over chunk borders, so there's every possibility that's going to disappear at some point, which is going to be a bit of a pain to fix, but we could just kind of make an air pocket in the magma and put another one down if that happens, so not the end of the world, but it's a simple solution that should get us what we need. Let's quickly get rid of this. And now let's watch and wait and see if we get some squid. And there we go. I can just see some squid tentacles off to the side there, so it looks like it's probably working, and it should spit the resources out. And there we go, we just saw them drop by. That's the squid ink, excellent. So we just need to add the squid ink to the sorting system, so I think we can just put that there, and if we quickly break into the back, we can then get the filters in for those. Excellent. So that's one more resource added to our storage area down here, and one that we're going to need a fair amount of before we can actually carry on with designing where the iron farm's going to go. So I guess it's back to going AFK for a few minutes. A short while later, and I've got all the glass I need, and while I was getting it, I've actually been down here decorating this area. I left my cam account up there AFK on the platform, so we've been getting all the good things while I've been working down this area. Tried to tie it in with the storage as well, and we've got 48 slots for villagers. However, I now need to sort out the actual farm itself, and that's why we needed all this black glass. So I'm going to crack on with this, and in theory, this bit should be fairly straightforward. But then we've got to mess with villagers, and that won't be very straightforward at all. The golem catching platform is now complete, and I've slabbed all around the area so they can't spawn elsewhere. I still need to get the lava blade in here, however, which is what's going to kill the golems. We need to get some beds down, And I'm also going to need to get some slabs, probably sandstone slabs, for this area here. But before we do that, we're going to need to sort out the villagers, get all those into place, and that is not going to be a small job. But for now, we have reached the end of the episode. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all on the next one, where hopefully we'll have some more villagers in place.